The void of space shimmered like heat waves above hot pavement, and suddenly they were there. 300 massive ships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. Their hulls black as midnight and bristling with weapons that could crack planets in half. The largest vessel stretched nearly 50 kilometers from bow to stern. Dwarfing anything humanity had ever built, Admiral Thrax stood on the command bridge of his flagship, the Void Crusher *. His massive frame casting long shadows under the red battle lights. His species, the Vorthons, were giants compared to humans, standing nearly 3 meters tall with thick, armored skin that had evolved on a world where everything tried to kill everything else. His crimson eyes, large as dinner plates, swept across the tactical displays showing Earth's pathetic defenses. "Look at this primitive little world," Thrak growled to his officers, his voice like grinding stone. "One small planet, barely out of its own atmosphere. Their largest space station would make a decent lifeboat for our smallest scout ship." Commander Vex, his second in command, pulled up holographic images of Earth's military assets. 63 orbital platforms, sir, chemical rockets for propulsion. Nuclear weapons that are 1,000 years behind our technology. They don't even have proper shield generators. Thrax's laugh rumbled through the bridge like thunder. In his 300 years of conquest, he had crushed civilizations far more advanced than these humans. The Christek Empire had possessed energy beings and reality warping technology. Yet they fell in 6 months. The Machine Collective had networked intelligence across a dozen star systems. But they surrendered after losing their primary nodes. These humans were nothing special. "Sir," called the communications officer, a smaller Vorthon with neural implants that let him interface directly with the ship's systems. "The fleet is in position. All weapon systems are charged and ready." "Perfect." Thrak activated the general communication ray, broadcasting his message to every corner of Earth's solar system. Open channels to the human homeworld. Let's give them the standard greeting. The transmission beam lanced toward Earth at light speed, carrying words that had brought entire civilizations to their knees. "Primitive humans of Earth. This is Admiral Thrak of the Vorthon Empire. Your world has been selected for integration into our domain. You will surrender unconditionally, disarm your pathetic military forces, and accept Imperial rule. Your leaders will report to designated processing centers within 48 hours. Resistances futile and will result in the complete destruction of your species. You have 1 hour to respond with your unconditional surrender." Deep beneath Seoul, in a command center that officially didn't exist, President Lee Dae-ho watched the alien transmission with the calmest expression anyone in the room had ever seen on him. The underground facility stretched for kilometers in every direction, carved from solid rock and shielded against every form of detection humanity knew about. Holographic displays showed the alien fleet in perfect detail, their positions, weapon signatures, and shield configurations all carefully catalogued. Round the oval table sat the most powerful people on Earth, though the public would never recognize most of their faces. General Park Min-soo, whose official rank was merely defense advisor, but who actually commanded Earth's true military forces. Prime Minister Kim So-ra of the Pacific Federation, representing the unified Asian Pacific Military Alliance. Defense Minister Choi Tae-jin, whose ministry was just a front for Earth's most classified weapons programs. Dr. Song Mi-kyun sat quietly in the corner, her civilian clothes hiding the fact that she had designed weapon systems that could shatter moons. Captain Lee Young-ho studied tactical readouts from his position at a side console, his fingers already dancing over controls that connected to installations throughout the solar system. "Aggressive opening move," General Park observed, his weathered face showing no emotion. "Standard Imperial intimidation tactics. They expect us to panic and surrender immediately. Their positioning is exactly what our war games predicted," added Dr. Song. Concentrated formation, maximum psychological impact, minimal tactical flexibility. They're not expecting resistance. President Deho leaned back in his chair. Watching the alien ships on the main display, each vessel was a nightmare of dark. Metal and pulsing energy, bristling with weapons that could level cities. Any ordinary world would be terrified. But Earth had not been ordinary for a very long time, sir. General Parks said quietly, "Should we activate Protocol 7? All hidden. Installations are ready for immediate deployment." The president held up one hand, his eyes never leaving the display. Round the table, the world's secret leaders waited. These were people who had spent their entire careers preparing for this moment, building weapons the public never knew existed, turning their entire solar system into the greatest trap in galactic history. "Not yet," Deho said, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. "Let them think we're just another primitive world scrambling in panic. The longer they underestimate us, the more complete their defeat will be." He reached forward and activated Earth's response transmitter, sending a signal that would reach the alien fleet in just over an hour. His message was simple, delivered in the same calm tone he used for budget meetings. "This is Earth. You have 72 hours to withdraw your forces from our solar system. This is your only warning. After that deadline, we will consider your continued presence an act of war." The silence in the command center stretched for long seconds before Kim So-Ross spoke. "Think they'll take the warning seriously?" "No," replied Deho with something that might have been a smile, "which is exactly what we're counting on." In space, Admiral Thrak received Earth's response, and his laughter shook the entire bridge. Did this pathetic little world just threaten the Vorthan Empire? "Officers, prepare assault formations. We attack the moment their foolish deadline expires. I want to show these humans what happens when primitives dare to challenge their betters." But down on Earth, humanity was already moving, and the aliens had no idea what was coming for them. Admiral Thrak sprawled in his command throne, a massive chair designed for his 3-meter frame. Watching holographic displays dance round him like deadly fireflies, the intelligence reports from his spy drones painted a picture so pathetic it was almost insulting. Earth's entire military might look like toys compared to what the Vorthan Empire brought to every conquest. "Show me their strongest warship again," Thrak commanded, gesturing with one clawed hand toward the tactical display. Commander Vex manipulated the hologram, bringing up a detailed scan of Earth's most advanced battleship. The vessel appeared on screen, sleek and white, bristling with what humans probably thought were impressive weapons. To Vorthan eyes, it looked like a child's toy. "The ISS Defiance, sir," Vex reported, his voice barely containing laughter. "Their flagship, length 800 meters, primary weapons, nuclear missiles and laser rays, energy output equivalent to our scout ship's emergency lighting system." The bridge crew erupted in chuckles. Lieutenant Krell, the weapons officer, pulled up comparative statistics. "Sir, our smallest patrol craft carries more firepower than their entire space navy combined. Their nuclear warheads couldn't scratch our hull plating." Thrak studied the pathetic human vessels with growing amusement. In his centuries of conquest, he'd never encountered such primitive opposition the Zephyrian Confederation had possessed. Quantum torpedo systems, the silicon hierarchy build ships from living metal that could repair themselves. These humans were using chemical rockets like cavemen discovering fire. "What about their planetary defenses?" Thrak asked, settling deeper into his throne. "Even more laughable," Vex replied, switching the display to show Earth's surface installations, missile silos containing chemical propellant weapons, laser batteries that couldn't penetrate our point defense screens. And look at this. "Yes, sir. They're still using radar over detection. Radar, We stopped using such primitive technology 3,000 years ago. The spy drones had been busy for the past 6 hours, invisible to human senses, cataloging every military installation on Earth. The results were almost disappointing. Orbital platforms that any Vorthan destroyer could eliminate in seconds, ground-based weapons that belonged in a museum, a space force so small it barely deserved the name. Their largest military base appears to be something called NORAD, reported. Intelligence Officer Zeth, built inside a mountain, presumably for protection. Our deep penetration warheads could turn that mountain into a crater in seconds. But what truly amused the Vorthan command staff were the frantic movements they observed across Earth's surface. Military vehicles racing between bases, aircraft scrambling from airfields, ships leaving harbors in apparent panic. The humans were running round like insects whose nest had been kicked .20- for hours into the countdown, and Earth looked exactly like every other world the Empire had conquered, terrified and desperate. What Admiral Thrak didn't know was that every panicked movement he observed was carefully choreographed theater. Colonel Hanjiwo sat in what appeared to be a simple geological research station in the Australian outback, watching alien spy drones buzz past her windows like mechanical insects. Her fingers danced across control panels that would have made Vorthan engineers weep with envy, coordinating with similar research stations across 6 continents. Station Bravo 7 reporting, came a voice through her encrypted communicator. Antarctic installation showing normal ice research operations on all external sensors. Internal systems fully charged and ready. Station Charlie 3 here, reported another voice from what the aliens thought was a mining facility in the Siberian wilderness. Particle beam rays operational. Alien drones completely fooled by a holographic or processing equipment. Han Ji-woo smiled grimly. 50 years of preparation were about to pay off. Every research station and mining facility the aliens had catalogued was actually a weapons installation more advanced than anything in their fleet. Humanity had learned to hide in plain sight, disguising their most devastating weapons as innocent civilian operations. In Earth's asteroid belt, Captain Lee Young-ho floated in the command center of what alien sensors registered as a simple mining asteroid. Round him, his crew worked at stations carved directly from rock, surrounded by technology that pushed the boundaries of physics itself through the transparent aluminum viewports. He could see other asteroids positioning themselves with microscopic precision, fusion mines deployed and ready, reported his weapons officer. Antimatter torpedoes armed, dimensional displacement cannons charging to full power. Lee Young-ho had spent 30 years of his life in this rock, watching his weapons systems grow from blueprints to reality. The aliens thought they were looking at space debris and mining equipment. They had no idea they were staring at the most sophisticated weapon network ever constructed on Luna's dark side. Dr. Kim Hyjin monitored the alien fleet from inside what appeared to be a simple astronomical observatory. Her instruments, hidden behind facades of ordinary telescopes, tracked every Vorthan ship with precision that would have stunned their enemy. She could tell you the power output of each vessel's engines, the rotation frequency of their shield generators, even the number of crew members aboard each ship. Fleet positioning confirmed. She reported to Seoul through quantum encryptor channels. They're forming the standard Vorthan intimidation formation. Maximum visual impact, minimum tactical flexibility, just like our intelligence predicted. They would. Her screens showed alien movements in real time. The Vorthans were so confident in their superiority that they weren't even bothering with proper defensive formations. They clustered together like a parade formation, perfect targets for weapons they couldn't even imagine. In the Seoul Command Center, President Daeho watched carefully selected news broadcasts from around the world. Every channel showed the same carefully orchestrated chaos. Military convoys racing toward defensive positions, civilians fleeing major cities, world leaders giving speeches about preparing for the worst. It was all performance art, designed to feed alien arrogance. Excellent work, Deo told his communications director. Make sure the aliens intercept plenty of our panicked military communications. I want them. Absolutely convinced we're helpless. General Park Minsu studied tactical displays showing both the fake panic and the real preparations, sir. Our theater operations are proceeding perfectly. The aliens are intercepting exactly the communications we want them to see. Military. Leaders arguing about hopeless defensive strategies. Scientists claiming our weapons are useless against their technology. Politicians debating surrender terms. Defense Minister Choi Taijin couldn't help but grin. Meanwhile, every hidden installation is reporting full operational status. Our actual military readiness is at 100%. But the aliens think we're at maybe 5%. President Deo leaned back in his chair, watching alien spy drones buzz around fake military installations while completely missing the real ones. Perfect. Let them stay confident right up until the deadline expires. The more surprised they are, the more complete their defeat will be. In space, Admiral Thrak prepared for what he expected to be the easiest conquest in Vorthan history. On Earth, humanity prepared to spring the greatest trap the galaxy had ever seen. Neither side would have to wait much longer. The countdown timer in Admiral Thrak's command center hit zero at exactly Earth Standard Time. 72 hours had passed since the humans delivered their laughably bold ultimatum. And now it was time to show these primitives the price of defying the Vorthan Empire. All ships advanced to attack Formation Omega-7, Thrak commanded, his massive form rising from the command throne. Round him, the bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, their clawed hands dancing across control panels that glowed. With alien symbols, target their orbital platforms first. I want their pathetic defenses eliminated within the first 10 minutes. The Vorthan fleet began its inexorable advance toward Earth, 300 warships moving in perfect synchronization like a school of metallic predators. Each vessel's weapon systems hummed with barely contained energy, ready to unleash devastation that could crack continents. Their formation was a thing of terrible beauty. Rows upon rows of dark ships stretching across the void, their hulls reflecting the distant sun like black mirrors. Sir, we're receiving no further transmissions from the human world, reported Communications Officer Zeph, his neural implants flickering as he scanned all frequencies. Complete communication silence across their entire planet. Thrak's crimson eyes gleamed with satisfaction. Of course they've gone silent. They're cowering in their underground bunkers, praying to whatever primitive gods they worship that we might show mercy. He gestured toward the blue-green planet growing larger on the main display. When we're finished with them, this world will serve as a perfect example to other primitive species who might consider resistance. The fleet crossed the orbit of Pluto without incident, their sensors detecting nothing but empty space and the usual cosmic debris. Thrak studied the tactical displays with growing confidence. Earth's military satellites had gone dark hours ago, probably shut down by terrified human commanders who knew they were useless against Vorthan technology. Energy readings from the planet appear normal. Reported Tactical Officer Vex. No unusual power signatures. No evidence of hidden weapons charging. Their largest military installation is showing minimal activity. But as the Vorthan armor swept past Neptune's orbit, something extraordinary happened in the cold depths of space. Captain Park Jihan had been waiting for this moment for 23 years. From his command post inside what every alien sensor had identified as a routine ice mining station on Neptune's largest moon, he watched the enemy fleet approach with the patience of a hunter who had spent decades perfecting his trap. All stations, this is Neptune base. He transmitted on quantum-encrypted channels that no Vorthan technology could detect. Enemy fleet has crossed the outer perimeter. Operation Phoenix is authorized. Repeat, Operation Phoenix is now active. His fingers moved across a control panel that would have looked like mining equipment to any observer. But Park Ji-han wasn't mining ice. He was commanding the most powerful weapon system ever built by human hands. The research station began to unfold like a deadly flower blooming in space. Armor plating slid away to reveal particle beam rays. Sensor domes retracted to expose targeting. Systems. What had appeared to be industrial equipment transformed into weapons that could punch holes through planets. The first shot caught the Vorthan fleet completely off guard. A beam of concentrated antimatter energy, invisible to the naked eye but devastating beyond imagination, lanced across millions of kilometers of space in a fraction of a second. It struck the lead Vorthan cruiser dead center, and the massive warship simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, bristling with weapons and shields. The next moment there was only expanding plasma and scattered debris. What was that? Admiral Thrak roared as alarms began screaming across his bridge. The asterisk Void Crusher asterisk shuddered. As shockwaves from the destroyed cruiser reached them, where did that attack come from? Before anyone could answer, a second beam vaporized another cruiser on the fleet's right flank. Then a third. The precise, devastating attacks were coming from multiple directions. But Vorthan sensors couldn't locate the source. Commander Vex's voice cracked with panic as he stared at his displays. "Sir, I'm reading massive energy signatures throughout the system. Power levels that shouldn't be possible from anything we've detected. Those installations we catalogued. They're not what they appeared to be. Across the solar system, humanity's true defenses revealed themselves like a carefully choreographed performance. On Jupiter's Moon Io, Major Shin Dobbin activated weapon systems that had been disguised as geological research equipment. For 40 years, volcanic activity on the Moon's surface had provided perfect cover for the construction of beam weapons that drew power directly from Jupiter's magnetic field. Jupiter Defense Grid Online. She reported to Earth Command, targeting enemy vessels in Sector 7 through 12, beginning coordinated strike pattern. Beams of pure energy erupted from what alien sensors had identified as simple scientific instruments. The weapons were integrated so perfectly into the Moon's surface that they appeared to be part of the natural landscape. Vorthan ships began exploding like fireworks as they encountered firepower that exceeded their wildest calculations. In the asteroid belt, Lieutenant Colonel Yu Sung-min commanded a fleet that had been hiding in plain sight for decades. Hundreds of asteroids began shedding their rocky exteriors like snakes molting their skin, revealing sleek warships underneath. These vessels had been built inside actual asteroids, their crews living and training in the cold depths of space, waiting for this moment. Stealth Fleet Alpha. This is Ghost Leader. You transmitted to his hidden armada. Time to show these invaders what human engineering can accomplish. All ships, weapons free. Engage at will. The disguised human ships moved with deadly precision, their hulls still covered in rock and ice that made them nearly invisible to Vorthan sensors. They struck from every direction, their advanced weapon systems targeting the alien fleet's weak points with surgical accuracy. Admiral Thrak watched in growing horror as his mighty fleet was systematically torn apart by enemies he couldn't even see clearly. Vorthan warships, each one a masterpiece of Imperial engineering, were being destroyed faster than his tactical computers could track. All ships, defensive formation, he commanded. But it was too late. The humans had planned this trap too perfectly, and his fleet was caught in the open with nowhere to hide. From Earth's command center, General Park Min-soo's voice reached every human installation throughout the solar system. All units, this Is Earth Command. Operation Phoenix is now fully active. Show them what humanity has been building while they thought we were primitives. Make every shot count. The message was unnecessary. Human forces had been preparing for this battle for half a century, and every installation, every hidden ship, every concealed weapon system was performing exactly as designed. The Vorthan Empire had come expecting to crush a defenseless world instead. They had flown straight into the jaws of the most sophisticated military trap in galactic history, and the battle was just beginning. The solar system transformed into a deadly maze of crossfire as humanity's true nature revealed. Itself with terrifying efficiency, what had seemed like empty space moments before now bristled with weapons that defied everything the Vorthan Empire thought they knew about human technology. Admiral Thrak gripped his command throne as the Void Crusher shook under repeated impacts. Through the bridge's massive viewport, he watched his fleet die in ways that should have been impossible. Vorthan shields, designed to withstand the most advanced weapons in known space, were being sliced apart like thin fabric. Damage report. He bellowed over the screaming alarms. Forward shields down to 30%, reported his tactical officer, panic creeping into his voice. Sir, these aren't primitive nuclear weapons. I'm reading antimatter signatures, dimensional, distortion effects, and energy patterns that our computers can't even classify. The truth hit Thrak like a physical blow. Those pathetic chemical rockets his spy drones had catalogued weren't rockets at all. They were camouflaged antimatter drives. Technology that should have been centuries beyond human capability, the crude. Missile systems were actually particle beam projectors capable of cutting through starship armor like it was made of paper. Captain Komin John Strikeforce materialized from behind Saturn's rings like ghosts emerging from the void. His ships had been hiding in the planet's debris field for over a decade, their crews rotating in shifts, waiting for this exact moment. The vessels looked nothing like the primitive human craft in Vorthan intelligence files. These were sleek predators, their hulls absorbing sensor waves, their weapon systems humming with barely contained power. Target the flagship, co-commanded his squadron leaders. Concentrate fire on their command structure. Let's give their admiral a front row seat to watch his empire crumble. The human ships moved with choreographed precision, their antimatter torpedoes streaking through space like deadly comets. Each weapon carried enough destructive force to level a city, and they struck Vorthan vessels with pinpoint accuracy. Shields that had never failed in 3 centuries of conquest collapsed under the assault. Commander Nam Suyang's stealth fleet was even more devastating. Her ships had been drifting through the outer system for months, disguised as space debris and derelict satellites. Now they revealed their true nature, appearing throughout the Vorthan formation like materializing demons. Phantom Squadron, weapons free, she transmitted to her scattered forces. Show them what happens when you underestimate human ingenuity. Her vessels were technological marvels, each one a masterpiece of stealth engineering. They could bend, like round their hulls, absorb radar waves, and mask their energy signatures so completely that they were invisible until they chose to attack. The Vorthans found themselves surrounded by enemies they couldn't see coming. Admiral Thrax flagship lurched as another antimatter torpedo found its mark. How is this possible? He demanded, his voice carrying a note of genuine fear. For the first time in centuries, our intelligence was perfect. We studied their technology for months. His answer came through the ship's communication system, but not from his own crew. Dr. Song Mi-kyung's voice reached him from Earth, transmitted on frequencies that somehow penetrated all of his ship's defensive systems. Admiral Thrak, she said, her tone calm and professional, like a teacher explaining a simple concept to a confused student. You see, humanity learns something valuable from watching your empire expand across the galaxy. we learned that appearing weak while being strong is the greatest advantage any species can possess in war. Through the chaos of battle, her words cut through the noise with surgical precision. Every ship your scouts observed, every weapon your spies catalogued, every defensive installation your drones mapped, all of it was theater. We showed you exactly what we wanted you to see while hiding our real capabilities in plain sight. The revelation hit the Vorthan bridge crew like a physical blow. Everything they had planned, every tactical decision they had made, had been based on lies. The humans had been controlling their intelligence from the very beginning. On Mars, Colonel Jiang Han watched his planet's surface split open like a flower blooming in fast forward. What the aliens had mapped as simple research colonies and mining operations were actually massive weapon installations, their true structures buried kilometers beneath the red sand. Now, they rose from the planet's surface like technological mountains, their particle beam rays and antimatter launchers tracking targets across millions of kilometers of space. Mars defense grid fully operational. He reported to Earth Command. All primary weapon systems online and engaging enemy targets. His voice was broadcast on open channels, ensuring that the dying Vorthan fleet could hear every word. Every nation on Earth has been preparing for this day since your scout first appeared in our neighboring star systems 70 years ago. We've spent 7 decades turning our entire solar system into the most sophisticated weapon ever created. The Martian weapons were works of art as much as instruments of war. Beam rays that could precisely target individual components on enemy ships, gravitational pulse generators that could crush starship hulls from the inside out, quantum disruption cannons that could tear holes in spacetime itself. Captain Li Yongho's asteroid-based installations joined the coordinated assault, their weapons emerging from rocks that had been carefully hollowed out and transformed into fortress weapons. Each asteroid contained enough firepower to level continents, and there were hundreds of them scattered throughout the belt. Asteroid defense network engaging, he reported. Enemy fleet strength down to critical levels. The Vorthan casualties mounted with mathematical precision. Ships that had conquered dozens of worlds were reduced to expanding clouds of plasma and debris. Admiral Thrak watched his tactical display with growing horror as the numbers fell. 300 ships became 200, then 100, then 50. Sir, his weapons officer reported, his voice barely above a whisper. We're reading fewer than 20 operational vessels remaining in the fleet. All others are either destroyed or too damaged to continue fighting. Through the bridge viewport, Thrak could see the scattered remains of his mighty armada. Ships that had been the pride of the Vorthan military were now nothing more than twisted metal drifting in the void. The humans had turned his fleet into a graveyard in less than an hour. Retreat, he finally commanded, his pride crumbling as survival instinct took over. All remaining ships, emergency withdrawal. Get us out of this death trap. But even as the surviving Vorthan vessels tried to flee, human ships pursued them with relentless efficiency. The trap had been designed not just to destroy the invasion fleet, but to ensure that very few survivors would escape to tell the tale. The Vorthan Empire had come to conquer what they thought was a primitive world. Instead, they had discovered that humanity was the apex predator they should have feared from the beginning, and the lesson was far from over. The asterisk void crusher asterisk drifted through space like a dying whale, its massive hull torn open in dozens of places. Emergency lights flickered weakly along corridors that had once buzzed with the confident activity of a conquering fleet. Admiral Thrak lay pinned beneath a collapsed support beam on his bridge, his crimson blood pooling on the deck as the ship's atmosphere slowly leaked into the void around him. The bridge crew was either dead or dying. Commander Vex floated unconsciously near his shattered tactical station, his body twisted at unnatural angles. The communications officer had been crushed. When the main display exploded, his neural implants sparking uselessly. Through the cracked viewport, Thrak could see the graveyard his fleet had become. Hundreds of ship fragments spinning slowly in the darkness. Their hulls still glowing from the weapons that had torn them apart. The silence was deafening after hours of battle noise. No more screaming alarms. No more weapons fire. No more desperate commands echoing through the corridors. Just the quiet hiss of escaping air and the distant groaning of twisted metal. Then, impossibly, the ship's communication system crackled to life. Admiral Thrak, came a voice that was calm, measured, and completely human. "This is President Lee. Deho of Earth. Can you hear me?" Thrak struggled to lift his massive head, his vision blurry from blood loss. How were the humans able to penetrate his ship's communication systems? Even damaged, the asterisk Void Crusher asterisk should have been secure from outside signals. "You came to our world believing Earth was a defenseless planet ripe for a conquest," Deho continued, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. "Instead, you discovered that humanity has spent centuries perfecting the art of warfare out of necessity. We are a species that has never known true peace, Admiral. We have been fighting wars since we first picked up sticks and stones." The human president's words echoed through the dying ship like a eulogy for the Vorthan fleet. "We gave you a 72. Our warning because we hoped your species might possess the wisdom to recognize a superior force when you encountered it. Instead, you chose ignorance and arrogance." General Park Min-soo's voice joined the transmission, his tone carrying the authority of someone who had just orchestrated the greatest military victory in human history. "Admiral, survival pods are being launched from your remaining ships. We are tracking 17 escape vessels fleeing toward the edge of our solar system. We will not prevent their departure." Thrak tried to speak, but only managed a weak growl. His mighty fleet, 300 ships strong, reduced to 17 escape pods. The mathematical precision of his defeat was almost beautiful in its completeness. "You will return to your empire and deliver this message," General Park continued. "Earth is not prey. We are the apex predators your people should have feared from the beginning. Tell your leaders that humanity has been watching their expansion for decades, studying their tactics, learning their weaknesses. We have been preparing for this day since your scouts first appeared in our neighboring star systems through the broken viewport." Thrak could see human ships moving through the debris field with clinical efficiency. They weren't looting or celebrating. They were cleaning up, methodically scanning for survivors and retrieving useful technology, even in victory. These humans displayed the cold professionalism of experienced warriors, Captain Lee Young-ho's voice came through the communication system from his asteroid command post. "Admiral, your empire has conquered 47 worlds in the past 3 centuries. Today, you learned that some worlds fight back. Your intelligence files described us as primitive. But you failed to understand something crucial about human nature. We are survivors, we adapt, we evolve, and we never, ever stop fighting." In the Lunar Command Center, Dr. Kim Hyjin monitored the retreating Vorthan escape pods with instruments that could track individual life signs across interstellar distances. Her screens showed the terrified aliens broadcasting desperate messages back to their home worlds, their transmissions painting a picture of complete defeat. "Sir," she reported to the Seoul Command Center, "long-range sensors indicate the survivors are transmitting detailed battle reports to Vorthan. Space power signatures suggest they're using emergency quantum communicators to ensure the messages reach their empire within days rather than years." President Deho stood in the underground command center, surrounded by the leaders who had spent their entire careers preparing for this moment. Through the reinforced windows, Earth looked exactly as it had before the battle, a peaceful blue marble spinning in the void. showing no signs of the devastating conflict that had just concluded in its outer system. Perfect. He said quietly, "Let them broadcast every detail of their defeat. Let the entire galaxy know what happened here today." Defense Minister Choi Taijin pulled up holographic displays showing the battle's aftermath. Human casualty reports were minimal. Fewer than 100 personnel killed across all installations, most from equipment failures rather than enemy action. The Vorthan casualties numbered in the hundreds of thousands, sir, General Park reported. All hidden installations are returning to camouflaged status to external observers. We'll appear to be nothing more than a simple planetary system with basic research stations and mining operations. But now we know our defenses work against galactic-level threats. Colonel Hon Ji-woo's voice came through from her Australian command post. Stealth systems are fully operational. Alien sensors will detect no trace of our true capabilities. We're ready for the next threat, whenever it might come. As the surviving Vorthan escape pods disappeared beyond the edge of the solar system, their quantum transmissions carrying news of humanity's true nature to the stars, President Daeho addressed his council one final time. "Today, we stopped hiding," he said, his voice carrying the weight of history. "For 70 years, we've lived in the shadows, building our defenses in secret, pretending to be primitive while we prepared for war. Today, we announced to the galaxy that humanity is no longer a species to be underestimated." Dr. Song Mi-kyung, the architect of humanity's defensive strategy, smiled grimly. The Vorthans came expecting to find sheep instead. They found wolves, and now every predator species in the galaxy will know that the small blue world in the outer spiral is home to something they should fear. The final transmission to the dying Vorthan flagship came from Earth's military command. General Park's voice carried across the void one last time, ensuring that Admiral Thrak would hear humanity's final message before his ship died completely. "Tell your empire that Earth remembers every world you've conquered, every species you've enslaved, every civilization you've destroyed. We've been preparing for you. But you are not our only target. The galaxy is about to learn that humanity protects more than just our own world. We protect those who cannot protect themselves." Admiral Thrak's vision faded as his ship's life support finally failed. His last sight was of human vessels moving through the debris field, their movements precise and professional, cleaning up the remains of his fleet with the efficiency of a species that had turned warfare into an art form. The Vorthan Empire would remember this day as their first true defeat, but across the galaxy, other species would learn something far more important: that the age of galactic bullies was ending, and humanity had just announced itself as the new guardians of the weak. The small blue world had shown the universe that sometimes the most dangerous predators were the ones who looked like prey. ***, the end ***.